Hello, exhibitors, and thank you for joining us for the first of two exhibitor education programs the Academy is proud to bring you. These choices were made based on the feedback you provided on the exhibitor survey from the 2014 annual meeting as issues or concerns that you were facing as an exhibitor on the floor at the Academy's annual meeting. So today you'll have a webinar on driving qualified booth traffic, and mark your calendar for October 8th when we'll be presenting another webinar on improving lead quality and sales conversion. We're happy to bring you Jefferson Davis. As many of you know, Jefferson has been our exhibitor educator for over 15 years for the Academy. He has his finger on the pulse of industry concerns and is certainly well versed on those, and we're happy to present him today. And again, thank you for joining us. One other housekeeping note, that you will receive the priority point offered for your attendance today when you complete that survey at the end of the program. Thank you, and Jefferson, please take it away.
All right. Thanks, Anna. It's been a real honor and privilege to be a partner with AAO over all these years. You know, I've exhibited personally at about 200 shows as an exhibitor, and I always felt the only time I heard from the show organizer was when they wanted a check or when they wanted to send me that service kit telling me all that stuff I had to do and didn't want to do. So how cool is it to be exhibiting at a great organization like AAO with a great exhibits manager like Anna that really cares a lot about exhibitors and invests financial resources in programs to help us get more from the time and money we're spending on the shows. We appreciate that, Anna, from you and everybody. Today's subject matter, I think, is one of the most pivotal things we could possibly talk about, you know, driving qualified booth traffic, how to really stand out from the crowd and fill your exhibit with the right attendees. You know, for most exhibitors, the single biggest factor that is limiting their ability to get more value from their trade show investment is their inability to get enough of the right people to their booth. So I'm going to walk you through today 5 innovative strategies, things that you can do, you know, right now, looking down the line here, 2 months till the doors open, to make sure that you are in the mind and on the agenda of the right people. So that's what we'll hit today. And this is part of the overall AAO commitment to exhibitor value, knowledge, education, success. The exhibitor resources page, keep your eye there. We've got a lot of content up there on how to use it, so make sure you visit there. Anna mentioned most of you have probably seen me around on the show floor. I've been on the show floor for many, many years. Probably evaluated most, if not all, of your exhibits in action over the years, and always trying to provide value. You know, sometimes it's not the big things. Sometimes it's just a little shift, a little change in some perspective or some behavior, something we're doing or something we're not doing that turns your trade show program around from what might be seen as an expensive appearance, turns it around into a profitable investment. So you ever want to talk shows, email me, call me. I love to talk shows. Be happy to talk with anybody anytime about any exhibiting issues you're having. All right, so let's jump into the subject matter of our time together here today, and it kind of comes down to this sign here. You look at this image up here, and you see this sign with all these different destinations, and it kind of makes me think about attendees. You know, they come to the event, and they have overchoice about where to spend their time. You know, and they're extremely selective today, more selective than ever, about which exhibits they visit. You know, the days of just stumbling into the exhibit hall and randomly walking up and down every single aisle and just falling into booths at random, those days are over. They've been over for a while. And so I think the question when it comes to your exhibit and what you're doing, the question that you want to think about is your exhibit a worthy destination? I love that phrase. What a great way to think about your exhibit, a worthy destination. You know, because in reality, there will be tens of thousands of attendees at the show. There will be hundreds and hundreds of exhibiting companies, And, the average attendee is not going to visit them all. They're not going to visit half of them. They're not going to visit a third of them. They're a lot more selective. They're coming to the show with a primary purpose of education, so they want to learn. So if you want to make your exhibit more interesting, more valuable, more attractive to the attendees, teach them something quick in your booth, something they can take back to the clinic, to the practice, and use. And so we're going to talk about creating content in a moment here about how to really get on their agenda. But you want to think about your exhibit as a worthy destination and stand outside of it like a stranger and look at it. Why should an attendee, out of all these booths, why should they come to ours? And you've got to have some sound answers. So let me run my first poll of the day here. There's a lot of factors that can go into driving traffic, but what I'd like to hear from everybody on this webinar today is, which of these factors do you feel most impacts your exhibit traffic? The poll is open. Click the radio dial button that applies. I'll give you just a moment to do it, and then I'll speak to the findings of this poll. Fastest fingers, everybody. Click. All right, we're at about 70%. Thank you. A few more. We're over 80%. Just a minute. 86%. Awesome. All right, let me share the results here. So 40%, 4 out of 10 say it's our location. And in real estate, right, what's the phrase? Location, location, location. And exhibiting, a lot of us have bought into this idea that where we are located on the show floor is the make or break factor. Exhibit Surveys has been doing quantitative and qualitative research on trade shows since 1963. They've done several studies, and they make an interesting find from the research, and here it is. They can make no correlation between the ultimate results an exhibit delivers and their location on the show floor. They've found exhibitors that are front and center, where everybody thinks they need to be, and have a reasonable or even slow, and they found exhibitors back in a corner near the bathroom, behind 2 columns, and have had a great show. So here's my take on the location factor. I don't think it should ever be the reason you succeed, and I definitely don't think it should ever be the reason you struggle or you fail at a show, because there's a lot you can do to compensate for a perceived location issue. And the big one is what we're going to talk about today, right, is what you do between now and showtime. You don't rent space and show up and hope that people come to the show and get into the exhibit hall and pass your booth. I call that exhibiting by hope. It's not how to do this if you want to really make it work. I'm more about exhibiting by objectives and using the principle of selective attraction to be in their mind and on their agenda. So wherever you're at, location. 36% of you said your pre and your at-show marketing efforts. I think that's big. Obviously, having a good company brand reputation, that's a rite of passage. I mean, if you've got a bad reputation, then you're not going to succeed anywhere, right? The quality of your exhibit does play a role, for sure, and our evaluations have proved, what they want and need and expect from your exhibit. But my big point here is this location thing. Don't let it be the reason you succeed. Do not let it be the reason you struggle, because you have a choice. Okay, you have a choice, and the choice is doing the stuff that we're talking about in here. So the next key point here is, will your company be in the mind, on the agenda of enough of the right people? That's what we're going to really talk about here for the next 30 minutes together here is, who are the right people for you? How much is enough? And this will be an interesting number for some of you. And what are you going to do between now and showtime that when they arrive in Vegas and they walk into that convention center, the exhibit hall, you're on their agenda, okay? You're on the agenda. That's how you win the game. You can win this game before you even show up, and that's what we're working toward here today. So in the mind, on the agenda of enough of the right people. I want to give you a very interesting and unique way to think about show attendance. Okay, and it's kind of the way I've got this pyramid, this funnel built, and I'll show you where to focus here. So gross attendance, that's everybody that attends, right? It's students, it's ophthalmic professionals, it's surgeons, it's doctors, it's practice managers, it's speakers, it's guests, it's spouses, it's who knows, but it's everybody that goes to the show, you know. And some of us get caught up in that number, and they go, wow, you know, the show has like 30,000 attendees, or whatever the number is, right? And that doesn't really mean anything to me, and I'm not sure it should mean that much to you, because here's the thing. You don't have the capacity to interact with that many people anyway. And second point is, not all of those people are what we're going to call your ideal visitor. Okay, so don't worry about gross. Net attendance backs out. It backs out like exhibitor personnel and spouses and speakers and contractors and all of that, right? Net attendance. So if a show has 30,000 gross attendance, then maybe it has 22,000 net. But I don't really care about that number, again, because 22,000 to me, the individual exhibitor, is it doesn't mean that much to me. Some of us go, well, you know, maybe attendance is down by 2%, and we freak out about it. It doesn't matter, right? Because you don't have the ability to engage and interact with, truthfully, a fraction of those people. The number I care about as I get into the green here is what I call my ideal visitor profile. How many people that are in this show audience match my ideal visitor profile? That number is the silver bullet of trade show marketing. That's the number you should be digging for, drilling for, and running down to. So let me go back to the numbers. So maybe the show has 30,000 gross attendees. Maybe it's got 22,000 net. But maybe within that net attendance, there's only maybe 2,800 people that are a dead ringer match for my profile. So that's the number I'm trying to get to when I analyze show attendance. I go inside the numbers. And the red on the bottom, this brings it all home. My exhibit interaction capacity. Okay, trade shows really, at the end of the day, what are they about? You know, I ask people, what are you buying? You fill out the contract, you send in that check, what are you buying? Concrete, real estate, visibility, awareness, branding. I'm like, that's not the greatest answer. I'll tell you what you're really buying here. The magic, the power of exhibiting, and why it's so valuable when we do it right. Because what you're really buying here is face time. Put your company identity, put your products, put your services, put your staff face-to-face with people in an environment built for talking and ultimately doing business. It's about face. And here's the thing about face. Okay, it's critically important in acquisition of customers. It's critically important in retention of customers. It's harder to get out in the field than ever before. I mean, if you talk to your sales team and your sales managers and ask them on a great day out in the field, how many actual, ODs are they standing or talking with face-to-face? I'd be surprised if it's 3, right? So you're going to be at the show here and have 28 hours of time. And so we're going to run that formula and get that number, but it's about face time, and it's about the contrast between your exhibit interaction capacity and the number of profile matches within the total show audience. That's how the top 5% of exhibitors are approaching it today. And it creates tremendous leverage, tremendous competitive advantage, because you're seeing this, you're looking at this from a different filter and a different lens. I just got home from a trade show last night. I got in at 1:15 in the morning. I was in Chicago, and we were on the show floor doing our E3 program, and several exhibitors were complaining about show traffic. And I asked them, I said, what did you do before the show to let people know you're going to be here? And they were like, well, we didn't do anything. And I'm like, well, there you go, because I go 2 booths down, and I see a booth that's busy the entire time, and ask them, what did you guys do? And they did a lot of the stuff that we're talking about in here, okay? So it's about face, all right? So strategy number 1, clarity is power. So what I want you guys thinking about as exhibitors is, who are the right people for your unique situation. In the first part of this, who, in the second part, how much is enough. Okay, so you can see on the screen here that one of the primary ways AAO defines the audience is by the primary specialty area. So you should be looking carefully at that and going inside and look at all the specialties on the screen and ask yourself, which of these specialties do we have solutions for, and then take those numbers. Because, by the way, these are net numbers. These are not gross numbers. These are net. Okay, and so now you might have 3 or 4 areas in there, and you might put those numbers together and now get a sense of how large the profile match is for your company. And for some of you, maybe geography plays a role. Maybe you've got distribution coverage in the western states, so that might play a role in how you do it. And there could be other factors. What I want you to do in this step, if you haven't done it already, is define the ideal visitor for your company and get a handle, at least from specialty, plus or minus how many of them people attend the show. You've got the numbers. Okay, I want to make a key point here in the marketing of your exhibit is by exhibiting at the AO meeting, you get a digital booth. Okay, it's critically important that you go on and fill out, populate your digital booth. In fact, you need to get that done by the, September 23rd, which is next week, deadline. That's going to ensure that you not only get priority points, but it also guarantees that you get into the final program by category. So make sure you go on and use that, because that tool is a matchmaking tool. It's the place where the surgeons and the doctors and the ophthalmic professionals are going to get a sense of what they're interested in, and it's putting you in front of them before the show. So make sure you do that. So number one, that's my first exercise for you, a profile of how you define your ideal visitor. Okay? Number two, let's calculate how much is enough. Now, I want you to do this exercise with me. I want you to use your numbers, not mine on the screen. I'll walk you through this. Okay, so the AAO annual meeting has 28 exhibiting hours. We're going to call that your playing field. We want to optimize your exhibiting program from your exhibit, and anything that happens outside of the exhibit is like the icing on the cake. So you got 28 hours playing field of time, right? First question, how many people are going to be standing in your booth for the purpose of engaging visitors on average over the entire course of the show, your full-time staffing equivalent? I'm using a small example here of maybe a 10 by 10. But I want you to use your numbers. Staffing rule of thumb, 50 square feet of open space per staffer. And that number does level off as you get into a larger and larger booth. But I want you to jot that number down. How many people are going to be in your booth for the purpose of engaging visitors all 28 hours? Okay? Next, multiply the two together, and you have your total staff hours. Multiply the two together, you've got staff hours. That's what you're buying. This is what you're really buying right here. Okay, your total staff hours. Now, here's the next variable. Okay, the number of interactions per hour per staffer. Okay, the average interaction in a booth is 3 to 7 minutes. I could make a case here for 8 to 20 interactions per hour per staffer. I'll never, ever make that case. Never make it. Why? Because it's not realistic. Okay, there are peaks and valleys in the show, right? There are times when it's really bustling, and there are times where it's a little slower. So I want you to pick a number between 3 to 5. 3 is conservative. 4 is moderate. 5 is aggressive. Pick one of those numbers, not all 3. Then I want you to multiply that by your staff hours, and you now have what we call your exhibit interaction capacity. Okay? You are crystal clear on how much is enough. And now as you look at my number on the screen here, okay, you see why, for me, if I'm a small exhibitor in a 10 by 10, 168 interactions. If I can get 168 of the right people to my booth, I'm going to have an incredible show. On the aggressive end, if I can get 280. You can also see now, when I understand that number, why I don't care about gross attendance. I don't care about net attendance. All I care about is that number and my profile matches, the number of people in the audience. And the quick and easy way for you to get to that again is by specialty. So I contrast those two numbers. And now my life is starting to get easy here, because here's the big idea. Between now and when we arrive in Las Vegas here in just under 2 months, my job as an exhibit and a marketer is to be in the mind and on the agenda of the 168 or 280, if I'm aggressive, best people that are attending. Okay, and if I don't like this number, if I go, wow, that's not a lot, well, I can change the variables, right? I can't change the number of hours in the show. That's fixed. Can I change the number of booth staff? Within reason, right? Don't overcrowd. Don't put too many staff. Can I influence the number of interactions per hour per staffer? Yes. Good pre-show marketing, a great interactive exhibit experience, exhibit graphics that grab attention and quickly give the attendee the promise there's something to do, there's something to learn in the booth here. I can definitely increase that number. But unless I have all those things in play, I'm going to suggest that you keep it in that 3 to 5 range. Okay, so you've got your number, okay? Your job as an exhibit manager is to get your company in the mind, on the agenda of that many people, at least, who? Your profile. All right, strategy number 2, while the police come and escort us, is the picking the low-hanging fruit, okay, the low-hanging fruit. So the strategy here is to look at your resources, internal and external, to build high-value target visitor lists. Okay, so when you think about putting together a list of people that you're going to market to, the first place you look is the pre-registered attendee list. Why? They've registered. Why? They plan on coming. Why? You have access to that mailing list, okay? Then you go internal and you start looking at your company database. I'm going to show you this customer prospect suspect game plan that you should have your sales, dealer, distributors running, because this is a game changer, okay? Then you were in the show last year. You were in other ophthalmic shows. You have names. Put them on your list. You got a website. People are calling your company. You had inquiries in any way, any marketing that you're doing. Put them on your list, especially if they're in the industry and they're within geographical striking distance of the show. You sell through dealers, distributors, resellers. Work with them and have them putting together lists. Trade publication readership lists, another great place to go. Okay, so the pre-registrant mailing list is available through AAO, okay, and there's a small fee for doing it. Of all the things I would do that I think is one of the must-dos, it would be to acquire and use this list. On my last conversation with Experian, who manages lists for a lot of shows, only 7% of exhibitors acquire and use the pre-registered attendee list. You want to succeed at trade shows? I got simple advice for you. Find out what the unsuccessful are doing and don't do that. 93% aren't. Okay? And mail, I'll talk about mail in a moment. Everybody goes, well, mail is expensive. Well, not really if you do it right. And the clutter in the mailbox is very, very light compared to email and other marketing channels. So here's your action item. I want you to look at your internal and your external list resources. I want you to try to drill them down to be an ideal visitor profile match, so it's matches. Then try to make your count, your total count, 3 to 5 times your exhibit interaction capacity. Okay, so if you have the capacity for 300 interactions, you're looking for a list 900 to 1,600 names deep. Okay, so that's your second strategy. Now let's talk about this CPS triangle. Now, this is the strategy you should have your sales team, dealer, distributors running. Okay, you should have them first sit down and put together a specific list of customers who are or should be attending. Okay, and put that list together. And then you want to set an objective about relationship management, probing for additional opportunity, keeping your ears to the ground for change, matching advocate customers with potential customers, You should never go into a key show like this without reaching out to your customers and inviting them, whether you think they're coming or not. Many people, I don't want to do that. And I go, well, the competition's knocking at the door pretty hard right now. Do not lose by default or absence, okay? Now, the quick cash flow where the return on investment from trade shows is hidden, and very few exhibitors are really farming this like they could, is in prospects who are already in your sales cycle. They're already in the funnel. Your sales team should be putting together a list of prospects. They should be strategically using the energy and the learning and the experience for prospects, okay, because that's where your quick cash flow is. Then next is suspects, okay? Suspects are what we call profile matches. The previous slide. You have one objective with them. Get a foot in the door. Put a face with a face. Begin the dialogue. Okay, so the action strategy here to implement the CPS is identify your sales, dealer, distributor teams. Ask them to build and submit a list of each type, customer, prospect, suspect. Ask them to set specific objectives or outcomes. Ask them, not you, have them reach out and have 3 contacts with that list before the show. What they're trying to get is either a confirmed appointment or a verbal commitment. Person says, hey, I'll meet you on Wednesday at 2 p.m. in the exhibit. Can't really set a day and time, but definitely want to meet with you. I will come by. That's a verbal commitment. And if you want to create some energy and get everybody excited about doing this, consider putting a contest in play that the sales rep or the dealer or the distributor that gets the highest number of their CPS list to the show and to your booth dangles some form of a carrot in the form of a contest. This is a great strategy. I've had so many clients turn their exhibiting program around and actually get hard dollar return on investment by closing time simply by running the CPS strategy with precision. Okay, so that's a great one. Good takeaway. All right, strategy number 3, focus is power. A lot of you listening to me today have a lot of different products, a lot of different solutions. And you've got all these product managers kind of coming at you and saying, I want mine in the booth, and I want mine, and and then all of a sudden you have so much stuff in there that your exhibit lacks a focal point. Okay, attendees are already at information overload. Write this phrase down. Less is more when it comes to your exhibit. Okay, you do not want to overwhelm people with over-choice. That creates confusion and just walk away. So I get asked all the time, hey, we've got all these different products, services, solutions. What should we bring and what should we feature? Well, number 1, lead with new. It is a silver bullet of trade show marketing. Number 1 reason attendees hit the hall consistently is to see what's new. And if you've got something new, lead with it and make sure that you are promoting it and make sure you've got large visible signage in the booth that says NEW on it. In many cases, it will radically improve the number of people that notice and enter your booth. Second, what products or services do you have that are addressing a top-of-the-mind, trending, topical, everybody's talking about it, okay, everybody's talking about it, top-of-the-mind type stuff. And then number 3 is your what many of you might call your pillar or your bread and butter products, the ones that are the 80-20 of your business. So that's some great direction on how to simplify and create a hierarchy of what to bring and what to feature in your booth. Lead with new, follow up with top-of-the-mind, trending, buzzing, everybody's thinking, talking about it, and then fill it out with a couple of your pillar bread and butter products. Okay? Let's go to our next strategy here. Content is king, okay? I got an email last week for a show I was going to that said, visit Jones Equipment Company, booth 2484. Delete, right? Jones Equipment, I have no idea what they do. All I see is the company name and the booth number. Then I got another one in the same show where they said, visit this company at the show for free popcorn. And I was like, is this a movie theater? Free popcorn? That's all you got? It's one thing to pre-market your exhibit. it's another thing to do it well. Okay, so I want to share some ideas and thoughts here on how to really make that content that you're sending out cut through the fog and the clutter, grab their attention, and make them want to engage. The first job of anything that you do, whether it is a mailer, a print ad, a listing, a virtual listing, like a bag insert, an email, anything, you got to interrupt. You got to get them to notice it. We think just because we send stuff that everybody's seeing it, but they're not. Okay, so new, once again, is an interrupter. If I'm going to the show and I see something that has the AAO logo on it and it says, drop by this booth to see this new solution, that's going to cut through the filter. That's going to grab my attention. I'm hitting the floor. I'm probably bringing that with me to the show. Second, problematic. Okay, if you want to sell more of your products and services, this is going to sound paradoxical, but I'm going to just say it. If you want to sell more of your products and services, quit selling products and services. Start selling solutions to problems. So you should be asking yourself, look down on the third bullet, what situations might be happening in the clinic that would prompt them to think about what we offer? What problems are they having? What frustrations? What's keeping them awake at night? And then in my marketing, what I dangle is situations. Situations. Because if the situation is relevant to them, they'll notice it. If it's important to them, they'll engage with it. Okay, so relevance and important, those are the two critical things that any marketing communications piece you're going to produce or send out. You've got to put it through the screen and ask, how is this relevant to my target audience, and what's important about this? Okay, so the other interruption strategies are familiarity. People notice things that are familiar to them, and they notice things that are unusual to them. You think about a marketing strategy a few years back that was blended both familiar and unusual, E-Trade and those talking babies. Remember the talking babies? Everybody knows what a baby is, right? It's familiar. So you know, oh, look at the cute kids, right? But it's unusual that they're super smart and they're witty and they're talking and they're messing around. And so they blended both the familiarity and the unusual for a very powerful. Almost everybody knows who the E-Trade baby is. I don't think they've run those commercials for a few years now. Okay, so relevance, important situations. 4 words have to appear in your pre-marketing. See, do, learn, get. What are they going to see? What are they going to do? Are they going to learn? What are they going to get? Boy, and that forces you as a marketer and creating a worthy destination, gives you 4 simple words to go, what is going on in our booth? Excuse me, it's got to be that worthy destination. Okay, so this is a great example. I saw this banner at another show, and this works. You know how I know it works? Every time I went by the booth, this booth was packed. And they were kind of using the new, and they were using the problematic, so they were blending problematic and new in this hook. Additive poly, it's a new thing in orthopedics. Ask the question. Everyone knows what's being added, but what's being taken away? Find the answers at this booth. That is a clinic on how to create quick copy that is relevant, intriguing, interesting, important. Okay? So that is a really good example. Here's a web banner ad I saw that I thought was really cool. By the way, this company sells commodities, faucets. Their target is the people that build and own all these apartments. This was a banner ad that had a 4-frame rotation. Find $26.70 in every unit. It's not here. The couch for the change, right? It's here. It's your faucet, right? I would have never thought of that. Save $26.70 in every unit. Click here to estimate your savings now. That is a clinic on how to create quick read, relevant, important, engaging, has pull-through. So you saw a good example there. Okay? Questions. I'm going to take a look in the queue. let's see. I've got several questions here because I'm running a little behind on time. I'm going to come back and hit those, but please keep submitting those. I want to tear through this content. So let me come back onto those in a moment. All right. People ask me all the time, they go, Jefferson, what is the single best media for marketing your participation in a show? And my answer is always the same. There is no single best. The magic is in the mix, right? It's in the mix. Different people respond to different things. So the 4 C's on this strategy of integrating multiple is captivating message and a consistent design theme, a combination of media. You know, it's hard to win a race with a one-legged horse. A lot of us are using just one channel as we promote our exhibits. We need to be using a lot more than one. Show media, industry-specific media, and direct marketing media. And your messaging in your campaign is really, don't tell your whole story. Notice how the Stryker one created intrigue. I got to know the answer, right? Man, what's being taken away? I got to know. It's intriguing. You know, so what you do, why they should care, who you are, where, and how to find us. And then try to land at least 3 direct touches or hits leading up to showtime. And it seems to work best when those touches or hits come through multiple media. Okay, so take a look on the screen here. This image is in your workbook too. I want you to put a check mark or a circle by how many different media you use to promote your participation, not just in the AO meeting, but honestly in every meeting you do. So go ahead and do that now. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to run a quick poll here because I'm curious to hear. That's in your workbook. Put a check mark by the range of media that you use to promote your participation in the show. Okay, or about 60% have voted. We're up at 70, 80% for the sake of time. Let me post here. Thank you so much. Almost 90% participation, so we've got a good representative sampling. You can see what's happening with the universe. 62% of you are in the 1 to 3. 38% of you are in the 4 to 6. I think the question is, how many media should you use? The answer, from my take, would be as many as you have the budget and the bandwidth and the knowledge and skill set to support. The more, the better in terms of media. So ideally what you'll be trying to do here is do something in all 5 of these areas. You've got something going in the print and the display piece. You've got some PR stuff going. You've got some electronic media going, whether it's social, your internet, website, mobile, email. You're doing something in the mail. The clutter in the mailbox is really light. And you've got some form of a personal contact where your reps, dealers are making contact, telephone, personal emails. If they're out in the field, promoting your participation in the show on clinic visits. So the idea is that you should have 1 or more things going in all 5 of these areas. That's an integrated marketing campaign. That will create omnipresence. Everywhere they look, there you are, which is what you're looking for. Okay, so the other thing you want to look at is that the Academy is really your marketing partner, and it's got like a range of things. So Anna, could you give us just a quick high level on a couple things you think that everybody really needs to be thinking about or paying attention to with Academy marketing media?
Absolutely, Jefferson. Several things have already passed as far as the deadlines for print in the final program and meeting guide. But 2 things that are really important right now for your at-show, pre-show, at-show, and post-show promotion is the population of your free digital booth in the virtual exhibition. As Jefferson mentioned earlier, this will be a list will be pulled from this next Wednesday to populate the category list in the final program, and that is also when the first email will go out to the pre-registrants promoting the virtual exhibition. It will be posted on the exhibition page of the new Academy website now through the meeting and up to the end of the year. We promote this to attendees as the primary tool to research the exhibit floor and plan their agenda for visiting exhibitors on the show floor. The search feature is extremely viable. We've added many categories. The Exhibitor Advisory Committee has worked on enhancing those search features in those categories. It's also featured at show in the exhibitor locator booth on the show floor. And again, what you don't want is for an attendee to look for your booth on the show floor and find that it's empty without being populated. So the virtual exhibition and your free digital booth is, of course, very important. And as I mentioned in the promotion of this particular webinar, there is a chance I will be pulling a name or two to receive a gold or silver upgrade in the digital booth.
All right. Thank you, Anna. You know, the best advice I could give to everybody listening here today is to sit down and think about what your exhibiting goals are and think about who your ideal visitor profile is, and pick up the phone or drop an email to Nicole or Abigail and see what they can do to help you. They've got access to a whole range of resources. I would like to view them as my unpaid marketing consultant. You know, once they understand your goals and your budget and what you're doing, they can, you know, point out things that will be relevant for you. And that's really the thing. What are your goals and your budget? You don't have unlimited budget, so you want to make every dollar do the work of 10. And both of them can help you with that. So I encourage you to do that. Okay, so here's a place. Remember earlier I said the clutter in the mailbox is really light? I think it's a really smart time to get back there. Be where the competition isn't. This is an example. This is a clinic on how to do a trade show-specific postcard. You're calling out the target. Look in the upper left. Attention. You're dangling a situation. Hey, if you're considering or struggling with this or that, the imagery represents or supports the headline. The challenges, the problems they're having are right there. You've got immediate linkage to the show with the show logo. You've got a clear call to action on the card. That's a really solid example. And by the way, when you design postcards, the mailing panel is the front of the card. You can get postcards out the door for around $1 a card today. I think it's, you know, power tool of choice. I go to it every time I'm exhibiting, and I do it. And I usually get about a 26 to 30% response on my mailers. They're well targeted, and you know, it just doesn't say, hey, visit Competitive Edge booth 2484. Okay, so here we go. Let's bring this home and wind down and get ready for questions. Okay, so I'm a small exhibitor. I'm in a 10 by 10, right? I'm $3,400 into floor space. Therefore, my budget using the 3 to 5 rule should be $10,000 to $17,000. I need to pull 15% of that at least out for promoting, at least 15%. My goals are visibility and awareness and driving booth traffic to generate leads. So what would it look like for me? I'm going to run that customer prospect suspect strategy. Why? Because I'm using house lists, and we have email and telephone and contact information because I'm using house lists for those. Second, I'm going to promote my participation in relevant social media channels that I'm using, and also whatever social media channels the Academy is using. So I'm leveraging both of those. I'm going to get the show logo and the email banner, and I'm going to embed that into my emails, signatures. I'm going to have that on my website. Any outgoing correspondence between now and showtime will be continually promoting. If I have ads running and I have time to make the change, I'm going to make sure visit us at. I'm amazed at how many companies miss that. I'm going to grab the pre-registered attendee list, and I'm going to mail a oversized postcard both to my house list and the pre-reg list. I'm going to make sure that I get on that virtual exhibition and get my my digital booth really solid copy written. Make sure that I'm in all the right categories where the the attendees are likely to look. And then if I couldn't find the budget to do my own mailer, then I would definitely get in the card pack. AAO does a pre-mailer. It's limited to only 50 exhibitors. It goes to 7,500 registrants. I believe the investment in that was somewhere around $18.50, and it turned out to be like 2.5 cents per piece. No-brainer. Leverage AAO's brand, drop in their hands before they get to the show. I'm a bigger exhibitor, I've got similar goals, but I'm trying to do some thought leadership stuff here so you can see how I'm adding to this. I'm doing all the similar stuff, but I'm going to be upgrading to a digital booth, either gold or silver, and I'm going to be sponsoring something around the show that relates. In this case, it might be a charging station. I'm trying to visibility, drive traffic, and have that thought leadership position. So it's just an example of, and that's a good snapshot of how to think about your pre-show marketing campaign on one text. So what does a good campaign look like? Well, in print, here you go. You're going to see bold imagery and colors and a strong headline and a clear call to action, visit us. And I need to carry that design theme through. So I'm going to do an oversized mailer using personalization, Nancy, and a personalized URL, be an example of a mailer, carrying it through. Then, because I have email lists myself, I'll be doing an HTML-type email, carrying the banner with the same headline and the call to action, integrating the Perl. These are my lists, so I'm going to do a two-part email. And then I'll set up a microsite where they can go and I can capture some data before they get to. They can get a little bit of engagement. They can set an appointment through this site. And so that would be an example of an integrated campaign using print. And so I would be in medical journals, trade pubs. I would be in the official show program. Then I would be doing my mailer, both to my house list and to the pre-reg list. I'd be doing my emails to my house lists. And then I would be pointing everybody to a microsite or a landing page as a place to engage, get some information, and also get a commitment to come visit the booth. All right, so I'm going to open it up for questions. And while I do, Anna, has anything flashed for you that you'd like to add while I'm looking at this question queue here?
No, there hasn't. I think you've done a great job, Jefferson. I think exhibitors, and we have a wide range of attendees on this particular webinar, from those very seasoned exhibit managers to new contacts to exhibition planning. And I think that following the steps that you've outlined here will certainly draw traffic to their booth, and is the pre-show marketing and a defined marketing plan is extremely important. And, of course, taking advantage of me. I'm very passionate about that virtual exhibition, having worked the exhibitor locator booths several years now on the show floor, and knowing how much the doctors appreciate having that kind of content and information about the participating exhibitors through a very simple and easy-to-use vehicle.
Yeah, it's a smart way to go. And, and everybody make sure you lock in, if you haven't done it yet, September 23rd, get your virtual listing and give careful thought as to how you write that. It's Competitive Edge has been in business since 1412 BC. We're the leaders in quality, price, service. Delete, delete, delete. Platitudes. Okay, give careful thought to writing a description that creates intrigue and creates interest. Okay, that description is going to be what they use to decide, and it is very much like an ad. Okay. So make sure you design it properly. A few questions we've got coming up here. One of them is, if we identify that there's 1,000 profile matches, what is a reasonable expectation for the number of interactions? Exhibit Surveys has been doing research on this, and they have a benchmark called Exhibit Attraction Efficiency. Exhibit Attraction Efficiency. And in their benchmark studies, they found that the companies who clearly define their audience and do a good pre-show campaign have, on average, interact with 45% of their profile matches. So 45% is very realistic, doable, but take a look at your exhibit interaction capacity and make sure you have that much capacity. Because if you can't handle 450 interactions and you get that many people coming, you might struggle with that. Okay, so that's a number for that. Question about staffing the booth. How many staff members is too many? The rule of thumb is 50 square feet. So if you're in a 10 by 10, you have room for 2, maybe 3. Okay, that number does level off as you get larger, but as a starting point, use the 50 square feet of open space. For a smaller booth, you can get away with 2, maybe 3. But in a bigger booth, start with the 50 square feet per open space, just as a rule of thumb, and then kind of narrow it down from there. This question, let's see. Anna, I'm going to bring this one to you. Can we place the AAO logo on our website and our email signature, or do we need approval to do that?
I do have an email banner that you can use on your correspondence, your email correspondence. You simply just have to email exhibitions@aao.org and we'll send that to you. And again, you can use that on your email correspondence on the bottom below your signature. The AAO meeting logo can be used on the company's website, and it should be linked to either the general annual meeting information on the Academy's website or the virtual exhibition. So what you're doing in essence is not only promoting your participation at the meeting, but the meeting overall. Publicity and advertising section of the exhibit prospectus has some information about that. It is posted on Exhibitor Central, and of course email me directly, and I'll be happy to send the logo and the banner directly to you.
Okay, thanks, Anna. Let me see. Someone's asking, once you have your list built from strategy number 2, what's next? Do you follow up with your pre-show marketing plan? Yeah, you do. You start by building your list, and then you move to your content. This is the way I think about content. Who's my ideal visitor? What solutions am I going to be featuring at the show? What problems and opportunities do these create for my target audience? What are they going to see, do, learn, and get in my booth? And when I've answered those 4 questions, I have good content for creating mailers and ads and my virtual description listing and my web banner ads and my print and if I have email for subject lines, for social media posts. And then I create just a really quick calendar that'll have like my media down the left, and it'll have a timeline across the right, and I'll go, so I'm going to have 2 mailers, 9 social media posts, depending on what data you have. Again, here's where my PR goes, here's what's going in my virtual listing, and I have a snapshot of my entire campaign on one page, and then I'm just running it, working backwards from showtime. Got a question here, Anna. I'll take a swing at this if you want to add to this, about why do we not get email lists, and my first answer will be the CAN-SPAM Act is very restrictive on our ability to both capture and share email addresses, and it's not easy to do. So, Anna, any thoughts on email?
Absolutely correct, Jefferson, about the act you just mentioned. We can't just give out emails. It has to be an established relationship in order for the use of emails. You do get the emails from the lead information that you capture at the meeting. There are emails that the physician provides us when they register or in their data that's captured through the lead capture. So that is one way, of course, that you can communicate with the physicians in that manner. The other way is, again, through the virtual exhibition. If your email information, contact information, is in your digital booth, if they contact you and want some information, you will then you gain a contact right there.
Good point. Yeah, good point. So on email, and again, you guys have house lists too, so make sure that you're really leveraging your customer, prospect, suspect list, because in those cases, you probably already have email addresses. Someone's asking about the cost per name on the pre-reg list, and I'm gonna take my kind of swing at that. 25 cents per name. Well, here's the thing about lists. Okay, when you purchase lists, there's 2 types of lists. There's a direct response, and there's a compiled list. A compiled list, you guys get phone calls from like Dun & Bradstreet and all these others. That's a compiled list. The person really took no action to get on the list. And those lists are typically rented by the thousands per M. The AAO is a direct response list. The way the person got on the list was by pre-registering for the event. 25 cents a name is honestly really, really cheap. So this is not an affordability thing, I don't think, at 25 cents a name, because it's a direct response, not a compiled list. Any thoughts on that topic, Anna, on cost per name?
I would suggest anybody who's interested in the Academy's pre-registered list for the one-time use of a promotional mailer to please contact member_services@aao.org. There's also information in the marketing section of the online exhibitor service manual. And again, email me directly, and I'll send you that information so it'll make it easier on you. And I can put you in touch with a UC piece in our member services department that can help you break down which target audience you'd like to reach, and she can give you the cost and the timelines on that.
Excellent. All right, so we are out of time, and just want to close with a few thoughts. Number one, thank you everybody for logging in. This is here for you. We want you to succeed at the show. Everybody at AO, Anna, the entire team really cares about you as exhibitors, but they can't do it for you, right? They create the venue, and they get the community to the venue. They get them into the convention center. They get them into the hall, and that's where the responsibility stops. That's where it's now up to you, the individual exhibitor, to make sure that you're doing the right things. And the fact that you logged into this webinar today tells me that you're committed to doing that, and it's my hope that you got some specific ideas and that you're ready to get off of this and go sit down and follow these 5 strategies we've presented, because if you will, I can close my part of this not by wishing you a more successful experience. I guarantee you'll have a better experience if you take to heart. So Anna, any closing comments from the Academy?
Not at all, just thank you very much for joining us. And if you have any questions or concerns, email me directly. I'm here. I'll be happy to answer your questions and work with you on anything, any concerns you may have.
All right. Well, thanks for logging in.
Very successful meeting in Las Vegas. As you received the pre-registered mail registration numbers to date for the end of August, we are on target to exceed Chicago's final registration by at least 10%.
Outstanding. So thanks for logging in, everybody. We've got another webinar coming up. We'll see you, and we'll see you on site in Las Vegas. So have a great rest of the day. Use what you learned, and we look forward to seeing you in Vegas.